What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me, all the way across the town this week and every week, he's the noblest of all metals. He's the king of all kings. He's the sofa king himself. It's Jeremy King.
Epic. One of these times, they're gonna have to engrave what you say on one of my tombstones. There'll be many of them, I guess.
Many lives you lived. Yep.
Yes. And sitting very socially far away from me, no spittle is getting on Brian unless, it's from somebody else, is so. Brian Paul. Yay!
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PSVR archive. We play out a game at random. We play the crap out of it, look into it, see if it's been given any love by developers, any updates, any DLC, any patches. Dust the blow off. Catch it. And then we let you know, the loyal game cats, if it's worth your time. We got that delay down to a science.
Nice.
Jeremy, what game did we decide to play this week?
Cave Digger.
Cave Digger Riches by Me Kiwi, released on March 25th, 2019 for $9.99. By the way, only been on sale once since then for just under $7. So about 33% discount.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of game is Cave Digger Riches?
It's basically like an upgrade game. You chip away, get currency, and upgrade your weapons in town. I don't know what the hell you'd classify that as.
I wrote down it's an alternate, almost steampunk-style Western mining game.
Yeah. I think that the only one, maybe.
It might be the only one in the genre.
Good description. I'll go with that one.
Now, you've only played this game recently.
Yeah.
But before this, long ago, way when this game first launched, back in March of 2019, it's a wildly different game. Like, totally different game. All you did was you stood in that mine shaft, or that elevator that brought you down the mine shaft.
Yeah.
And you mined the walls. You couldn't, there was no full locomotion. It was like it's still click turning, just FYI, right? But you can move around. You can do teleportation or full locomotion.
Full locomotion is a new patch as well. That
is new. So you could never leave that little elevator mine shaft, and you were teleporting around in that little 3-foot by 3-foot area. Doom, doom, doom. It was so awkward.
Did it still bring you up into the pub or wherever, the saloon to buy items?
So you'd start in the saloon. It was exactly the same. And you saw all the items you could buy. It would shoot you down, like 3 times? This part of the game is still the same. Like you go to 3 different levels, you mine the walls, and then eventually you end up back in the saloon, and with all that newly acquired money, you buy new tools or upgrade your current tools.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this part of the game? Because this was the core game at launch.
So I mean, it was all right. It worked for the core game. For the core game of it, at first I was intrigued. You get your pickaxe and you're chipping away over and over, and the music gets more and more frantic as you time, because you got some timer on your thingy ticking down. And at first I didn't understand, because they really don't explain shit.
Never.
I mean, there's some diagrams that you can see that explain what the weapons, the gathering tools do for you, but they don't even explain well. I'm like, what the hell is that? What is this? So chipping away, you get different, gold or, emeralds, whatever, different forms of currency that are mined, plus other type of shit that you'll find along the way.
Right.
And then I didn't realize that after the barricades shut down and the elevator shaft goes up to a different area or down lower, if you didn't throw that stuff in the middle of your collection dump bin
receptacle, right?
Yeah, it's gone. It doesn't come with you. You lose the currency. Yeah. So I was like, oh shit. So I thought, okay, I guess that's kind of neat, because I got to collect this shit, and then I got to dump it into the bin, collect more, dump it in the bin before it goes up. And then when you get, when you bring it up, it spits all the stuff out to show how much currency you have or what you earned in dollars. Then you can buy more weapons. I keep saying weapons.
You do. Yeah.
More tools, better versions of the tools you have, so that mining is a lot smoother and you can collect more money to get more stuff. But
I wish they'd add shotguns to this game.
Me too.
Right? And I found a whole hunting mini game, man. It could be like rabbits and, and deer. Yeah. I I bet that could
Or
happen.
even you just add wildlife and leave the same. So you could drill into their bodies or their head, plant dynamite,
Take the
light them.
circular saw.
Yeah, cut out shit.
Yeah.
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 See, now that would be sick.
This
Or
is
townsfolk.
I think this is just Splatterhouse. We should just
Yeah.
you want to review Splatterhouse next week? This seems like what you
Right.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This game might need this actually.
Maybe.
Yeah,
It
I
might.
think so.
So one of the cool things about this is is that there's an air of mystery surrounding this entire game because, as you said, they don't really explain anything. But also,
Nothing.
if this was just a normal game, that might be okay. But this is not a normal game. There's so many weird things that happen. You end up with these gloves, these kind of there's wires and like weird mechanical things on your gloves, and they glow when you do things, or something you can shoot off almost like a silhouette of your glove, and there's no real explanation of anything telling you how to do this.
No.
You find these mushrooms and you can eat the mushrooms and see one of the secret endings. There's a VR headset that you can find and see a secret ending, and there's like 9 different secret endings, and so you're playing the game with no direction whatsoever. And then you find this stuff, and you can either choose to use it or not use it. And if you do, then weird shit happens. And I will say that when I reviewed this game originally, when it first came out, I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is really cool. This is so strange and different. And for $10, I was like, very cool.
Yeah.
And then everything changed. Everything changed on September 21st with the Railway into the Depths update. And for the very first time, you could leave the little mineshaft elevator.
I wish I had played this prior because I feel like the core part of the game was, I mean, the best, obviously, because as soon as like you left the elevator shaft there, the mining shaft, and you walk around, it's a big empty town. There's nobody there. There's nothing there. No. There's just some voice of some guy that's talking about, doing random things in the end of the game. I didn't know what I was supposed to do in this game besides just collect shit. I didn't know what the objective was. What's the end? What are you trying to achieve with this town and this money? It was just, they didn't really explain shit. And these upgrades on all the buildings, what were they for? The train, there's different things to like upgrade that so it eventually to move, and then bring you to another mining area. I mean, it just seemed like there was just a lot of, I don't know, more of the same at every angle, if you will.
Right. So it's been a little while since I first dove into this update. So maybe you can help refresh my memory. Mm-hmm. When you first walk out, the train doesn't operate. It's missing a handle. No. Is that right?
Yeah, which was $2,000 to buy the handle.
Right, and everything's super expensive. It's everything's crazy expensive. So you have to go walk up to this building, and it's just got all these kind of blueprints right in front of you, and one of them is the handle.
Yeah.
And now once you buy the handle, and it automatically installs on the train, right? Mm-hmm. And then is the train operational, or is there anything else you have to do?
Well, I know there's a whistle upgrade. There's a few different parts that seem to be missing on this train. Now, when I say that, I really tried to want to get that train to operate. This game just did not speak to me enough or drive me enough to want to get that train to work.
Wait. Let me clarify. You didn't get the train to work?
No, I didn't bother. Yeah, I'm telling you.
All right.
I played this game for a couple of hours, and I chipped away, collected money, upgraded all sorts of different shit, just kept using the pickaxe. I found that to be the best because every single tool and item in this game requires so much of finagling around. The controls kind of get lost with the tracking. You pick up the wrong items. You're throwing things. You're frantically trying to move stuff. So like when I was trying to drill into the wall and the time's ticking down, I'm just wondering how much I'm going to yield out of this time I'm sacrificing where I felt chipping away. I was able to gather this stuff, throw it in there. They have camera that you can view and see what's beyond the rock and find the objects, especially the fragile ones that you don't want to break and shatter.
It's like a radar or echolocation device, right?
Yeah. And you can cut with one of the circular saw tools there and get the items so it's safe and not destroyed because I was just destroying shit with the pickaxe.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to find a reason to continue on and get that goddamn train, which I feel is a shame because they placed this thing in the middle of the town as like ooh, what is it? You want this to get it to work because you want to go down the tracks and you want to, do more of what you're already fucking doing right here.
Right.
But it was just so goddamn. It's kind of like saying to your kids, "Hey, clean your bedroom. Hurry, hurry. And after you're done cleaning your bedroom, you can go into my bedroom and clean it too." It's just like, oh, okay. So I'm just going to clean mine,
Yeah. Yeah.
Felt like a chore.
Yeah. Well, so some of the stuff that you're talking about here, you sort of glossed over some of the other weapons as they are, other tools.
Weapons, yeah.
Right. So there's definitely artifacts in the wall. Gold, silver, diamonds,
Crazy
gems,
artifact.
all the normal stuff you can't destroy. You use the pickaxe, boom, 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 it just flies out of the wall at you like en masse. But then there's crazy artifacts. I mean, in some of it's really funny too, right? Like
a lot of pop culture references, like the Infinity Stones, because you get you buy that one gauntlet, and then there's certain walls that are glowing all of a sudden when you're picking away. Yeah. All of a sudden, one of these stones comes out and embeds itself into your knuckle, which eventually you hold one of the buttons down and charge it up and you can punch the wall and really clear some area.
Right.
So that was neat. I liked that one.
Right. But and I think the artifacts, there's basically a square, like a dotted line, right? Around the artifact. So you take the circular saw and you go against the top line, against the bottom line, sides, and then like it's safely removed from the wall, and then you can kind of throw that into the receptacle. And then these are obviously worth more than the diamonds and the gems and everything else because they're so much harder to remove. But then there's also a drill. And you can drill into the wall at certain places and then use a bucket to catch all the oil that comes out, and you just literally just keep filling the bucket, just throwing the whole thing down into the receptacle. Grab another bucket, fill it up, drop it. Grab another bucket, fill it up, drop it. Yeah. Again, worth way more than just the gems because it's harder to do.
Yeah.
I must have spent a lot of time in this game before the update, because when the update happened, I just had a shitload of cash. Right. Nice. So I just walked right out. I bought the handle for the train, whatever it took, and I was able to get that train up and running in minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent the couple of hours just buying whatever weapons were right. God damn it. Whatever tools were right there. And then I started trying to earn money to go buy that handle afterwards. Yeah. And this was after a couple of hours of playing it. And the problem is that maybe I should have done it where I played it originally and the patch came out, then did this. Because after the few hours of getting enough currency together to go and venture out to upgrade that, I was well over it. You know what I mean? With the novelty wore off of what the game was, which was, collecting and then building and upgrading. It was just an upgrade type of game. And those games are great for some people, and some people they're not. So like a lot of, games will have that end game, plus type of stuff. You go back and then you can upgrade.
Right.
So I would have felt like that whole train aspect of everything would have been a great reason to come back and play it after you finished it, where, maybe you couldn't leave the shaft, the mine shaft until you finished the main core of the game. Then you could, then there would be all that. But them giving you free range to run all of it at once, there was just too much happening, and I don't know, not enough substance to justify the distance you had to go to achieve the other goals that these developers put in this game.
Well, starting this game up where I started it up, and starting with a bunch of money and knowing how to play the game and sort of already having a bunch of upgrades and not really having to worry about all that stuff, I still sort of ended up in the same place that you ended up, because I walk out, I get on the train. Let me explain a little bit about the train. I think the train is obviously the coolest part of this upgrade, or this expansion. You hop on the train, you push the lever, the newly acquired lever, up or down, and you can go forward or backwards, and then suddenly, boom, this is so cool, because this game that was a game that you couldn't even really walk around in, now you're riding a train full speed into these caves, down these tracks. It's like music is playing, things are flying by, it's all dusty and everything, and for a kind of average looking game, The effect was pretty cool. It really worked for me. And then you start seeing it's got to be procedurally generated. It's got or randomly generated because every time I went in, I felt like it was somewhat different than the time before that I went in. And so I'd stop at a place where there's even a little sign with like pickaxes on it and be like, "Yo, go mine here," you know.
Yeah.
You mine the walls or whatever. And I always change the radio station. There's 2 radio stations on the train. One is just fucking boring music. And then the other has this guy who's like kind of reporting the news, but it's like relevant stories about shit that's happening and how fucked up like people going on expeditions and like the fucked up shit that they're finding or the fucked up shit that's happening to them. And it's sort of just like this cool ongoing story in the background where you can pay attention or not pay attention. It's not like one of those games that forces you to stand there and and wait until they're done talking. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of this cool thing to have on in the background while you're destroying walls and collecting more gems and doing the whole thing. And then eventually you can just like push that handle up and just let the train go all the way to the end. And then you eventually, boom, you hit a roadblock. Like it's just an endless abyss with broken railroad tracks.
Yeah.
And luckily there's a fast travel button right there where you can like boom go immediately right back to the town, which is great.
Oh, nice. There you go.
So that's what you missed out on. Yeah. But you didn't miss out on much more than that because
it kind of felt like that. Yeah.
Because everything's so expensive that again, I was just doing that over and over and over and over trying to upgrade these things. And I looked at the upgrade, where you buy all the upgrades, where originally the handle was the lever, but there's also you can also upgrade the buildings in the town.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Like, I mean, I wasn't sure. Did you have more info on, like, is it just appearance, storefront changes, or opening up the stores itself?
It has to be more than that. There's handles on every single building.
Everything, and they
turn. They kind of turn.
Yeah.
But you can't open the door.
No.
So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Maybe I have to upgrade this building, and then finally I'll be able to open the door and access it. And so I upgraded the post office first. Mm-hmm. In the post office, all I think it did was make this little computer outside the screen tell me, kind of give me hints on what to do next.
Okay.
It was basically telling me, you hit the end of the railroad tracks, go buy more railroad tracks. But more railroad tracks cost like $100,000 or something.
Shit.
And I've got like $6,000. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably not the right number, but you're getting the idea. Everything is ridiculously expensive. And then I upgraded the well. There's a well with a bucket.
Yes. Yeah, I saw the well. Yeah, and I was like, huh.
Right, and I upgraded that. And like something kind of like, ding, 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 happened over there. And I went over and tried to use the well. Mm-hmm. Nothing. And the inability to use the well. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like, even the stuff that I'm upgrading, I'm totally lost on how to use if I'm able to use it. What's the point of all of this?
Right? They need explanations or a benefit to all of these things. Like if you get the well, then you get to pull up drinking water, which, yields more, money every time you mine for 30 minutes or something like that. You know what I mean? That way it's like a reason to hunt these things down.
Yeah.
Because right now there's none. It's just to like buy them so you don't have to, not own it. And I mean, I gotta say, it's a huge patch. That is a goddamn enormous update. Because I mean, for God's sakes,
totally
if the core game was just that mining shaft, then I mean, it's huge. There's a lot of places to run. I mean, it's not that big, but I mean, for what the game is, it's too much. You know what I mean? It's enormous because there's a lot of running around an empty town and upgrading things for no reason, And I mean, I've seen there's a lot of really neat artifacts and stuff you can find in the game. Like they have xenomorph skull, I guess. There's a DeLorean somewhere. There's like a lot of pop culture references hidden out in the game, which, hear that?
Yeah.
That's on my end. Not sirens. That's my convection oven because that's my broccoli and my Brussels sprouts. Yes. Sirens on Brian's end.
Yeah, just make it easy.
Vegetables on mine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pizza on my end.
Hey.
So
sounds like a porn.
Would you be surprised if I told you that Railway Into the Depths was not the only major update this game has received?
I guess it would make sense, seeing as though it's huge.
Yeah.
But
So I was shocked as I was after playing this game for hours. Like now, let's clarify. I played this game for hours and hours and hours before I did my original 4 or 5 minute review before all these updates. Okay, so I've already spent a ton of time with that game, and then I spent maybe another 3 hours with Railway Into the Depths trying to figure out like what to do here and trying to see if I can really get a grasp on all the shit that they added.
yeah.
And then while I was doing research for this episode, just before we started filming, after I'd played for hours, I found out there was actually another update on December 13th, according to their Facebook page,
Okay.
called the Unearthly Arrival. And apparently there's some like UFO stuff going on, some alien stuff going on, and I have no idea. There is so much hidden shit in this game. And it all seems to be locked so heavily behind it feels doesn't this feel like a mobile game to an extent where like if can I just pay real money to upgrade this stuff and save myself hours of work?
I know, just get it done. I just open it all up.
Right, just actual microtransactions. Just charge me like actual dollars.
Right?
Right. And that's what it feels like.
They should charge for instructions on what benefit these things you get from unlocking them.
Yeah, they should.
Did this game rate well? I mean, was this a highly received game? Because the care they're putting into these updates seems like, I mean, it's going strong. For God's sakes, December, and then the Railway one. That's the huge updates.
So again, on their Facebook page, I saw that the game had sold 30,000 copies at some point, and they were very proud of that. It's a very good number for them. So
Sure.
if you have a really small development team or dev team, and like you don't spend a whole lot of time making this thing, then that's an awesome number. And like I said, I reviewed it very favorably initially. And so basically all of this extra stuff is just free extra content. It's not like they're charging for the DLC. The game
it's not. Oh, wow.
No, the game doesn't cost any more than it did before.
Okay.
And so this is all bonus, and it's a lot of bonus. The extra stuff is bigger than the original game.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. It almost seems like, for me, unfortunately, I wonder how many people have waited till after these free updates, because it almost seems like the game, for me, I would have rated this better or thought a little bit more of it if I wasn't able to get out of the cart, out of the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
If I had to stay in there and do that, it would have been a lot more like blinders on the horse, just leading me where I need to go. Here it is. That's it. By them just like removing the blinders, now I'm just like a free fucking horse. I want to run everywhere, but I also don't know what to do, So I think this game almost patched itself a lesser score,
I think we need to rate this then.
I think we do.
I think we're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our rating scale today, Jamie?
Well, let's see. One, I guess, would be you've got, this game's great. You're like a miner. You got every tool you need. You love mining gems, and you got laser cutters. It's a beautiful thing. Fucking get it. Two is like you love mining, but you do the old-fashioned way, taking some gristle. You're going to hammer some shit. It's going to hurt, but it's worth the reward. It's worth what effort you put into it. So buy it at a discount. And then three would be like, this is like mining with bare fists. Every punch fucking hurts. You don't want to do it. You're breaking bones. You'd rather be shoveling horse shit at a fucking horse convention. I don't know what the fuck. Avoid it. Don't buy it. Stay away from it. So, Brian, what do you think? 1, 2, 3.
So this is a really strange one, because I really think they nailed it with the original game, and by adding so much confusing stuff to it, I'm kind of not sure where I stand on it, and I really am shocked how much time you have to spend with this update to really start appreciating it. And I think I do appreciate it, but there's so much work involved in upgrading this town, and you're not really sure which direction to take. You're not sure which thing you should upgrade first. You're not sure what an upgrade will actually do once you upgrade it. It's very confusing, and there's no guidance, and I feel like a game like this at a certain point does need to take you by the hand and go, this is what you need to do next. I like that the original game didn't do that because it was all about discovery and it was all kind of magical, and I thought that was very cool. But not doing it for this expansion was very confusing and probably hurt the game more than it should have. That being said, it's a $10 game, and I think you could spend a ridiculous number of hours with it. If it was any more than $10, I would be very hesitant to recommend it. But I'm going to give this a pretty strong 2 because I liked the original game at this price, and now it's the original game plus more. So I can't recommend it less than I did before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it's a pretty strong 2. I have a bad feeling about your take, though. What's it going to be?
So from the moment when I started playing it, when it's just in the mine shaft and you pickaxing away, I'm like, okay, and getting all the time trial, all that, trying to be quick and get the money going up, and then just somewhere along the way, it just started to lose me after I started to upgrade the weapons, and you find that so like you buy the drill, but the drill's pretty useless unless you buy the dynamite to put in the holes and then the candle thing to light the fuse. They don't guide you in telling you what you should upgrade first. Like there's these these tools on the table in front of you, and it's willy-nilly. You buy one, it's like, oh, it's kind of pointless right now until I get this, and then getting this item doesn't make any sense until I get that, which I get it. It's getting you to go down the shaft again and getting more money. And eventually, as I left the cart and I started going around the town and seeing this vast empty town with these things to upgrade with no description on what they do once you do upgrade them, I was kind of like, why do I even want to do this? It wasn't speaking to me because I understood the game. The core game is just a fetching game. You're just collecting stuff, a collectathon, and upgrading. Collecting, upgrading. That's it. And I get that some people love that. And for me, it's usually in games when it benefits the game, and like like an RPG. If I'm gonna grind in an RPGs, I love grinding because it's like I love to become more powerful of a character with whatever abilities or equipment that I need to buy. I know what my goal is when I'm doing that grinding.
Right.
But if there's no goal, it's just grinding. You're just doing it just for entertainment. Well, you lose me because I need that sense of direction. I need to be, go that way. And for people like me, this game I don't think would do well for them whatsoever because it gets boring and repetitive. That being said, though, the game itself is not a bad game. It's just not my type of game. So when it came time to think, what do I want to rate this on a personal level, I say a 3 because I will never play that game again. I don't care how many expansions come out or what's out there. But it's like,
what if they give you the weapons that you finally want?
I know. So that would be totally different. In townsfolk, you could whack the weapons. Then, there we go. 2 right there. But so if I want to just say, for the game itself, for what you get for the price, the amount of content and all the little hidden Easter eggs and the pop culture references and what you need to do, there's a lot, and there's a lot for that money. So I can say, taking my own personal taste out of it, that it's a 2. For me, no. For me, it's a 3. But I think that's just because of the type of game it is and the type of game that I'm not a fan of. So I'm going to remove my personal taste out of it and see that I can tell for the money and what it does. It does it decent. It's entertaining. It looks okay for what it's trying to achieve. They keep you frantically moving and getting that stuff and getting the money and constantly upgrading. And so on that sense, I would say a week 2. I'll go a week 2 on for the masses. I think it's worth the money if you like that type of game. But me personally, it did not speak to me, and I found it a struggle to play the game. So I that's it. I'm confused if I want to finally spit out. Jeremy says a week 2 or it's a 3.
Well, I'll say that you're way more empathetic with your ratings than I am. If I don't like something and it's not for me, it gets a 3.
Yeah.
But you're like, if I remove myself from the review process, I'm like, you can't do that. That's
Then me, myself in that game, 3. It's a 3 for me.
I think that's fair. I think it's totally
Yeah.
fair based on your experience with it. That's kind of what it sounds like to
Yeah.
me. And I can totally see it. I can totally see it because when there was nothing, when I couldn't make progress because I was like, oh, I just spent the last 20 minutes and I only made $500. Does that mean it's going to take me 7 more hours to upgrade the saloon or whatever? I'm like, this
Right.
is going to take forever. And again, once you upgrade something and you can't figure out what it's done,
Mm-hmm.
well, now I feel like I just wasted 7 hours to upgrade something and nothing happened.
Right.
So again, I think a little guidance would go a long way with this one.
How awesome would it be if they said, like there's an upgrade, it might be like $10,000, a lot.
Yeah.
Once you get that upgrade, you can populate your town with people.
Right.
And then, maybe $20,000 more, then you can like attack them with those tools.
With the weapons.
Yeah, that would be like they would give you fuel to keep going with that game.
Right.
But it's too open world with no explanation in a
Right.
weird way,
I will say I'm tempting myself to keep playing this because I want to see what's going on with the alien stuff, the Unearthly Arrival DLC. Again, I don't know how much of that I saw. I think some of the statues that I saw in the caves might have been part of that. I think some of the stuff I heard on the radio might have been part of that. But I didn't see anything. And I think that once I upgrade the railroad track and get further into the cave system,
Yeah.
which again is going to take 7 hours to make that much money,
Crazy. Yeah.
then I think maybe I'll start seeing what, this extra content. But man, it's just, there's such a barrier to entry to get there that I think it's fair that we're rating this where we're at because I think most people aren't going to make it even as far as we did.
I'm not. So when you get to know what the artifacts are for the alien shit, let me know.
All right. I'll pass the word along.
Even if you don't, I'll be all right.
You're never going to hear the words cave digger again.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not.
All right, you guys, I think that does it for another episode of Why We Left PlayStation VR. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Cave Digger. Did you play it before the patch? Did you play it after the patch? Do you have any idea what the alien stuff is all about? If so, just tell us in the comments, and maybe you can save me and Jeremy some time. Also, what other games do you want us to play for another episode of Why We Left PlayStation VR? I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Jeremy King.
And we'll see you
next week.